health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health TV and radio show. I'm your host, Sara Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of three. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you're notified every week with my new podcasts on Mondays and Tuesdays. And if you haven't already, join my free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. There is no downside. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health, and you will be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey in addition to truly taking control of your health. My goal is to reach everyone on earth with eyes to see and ears to hear my message of healing. So please help me with that goal. Share this podcast with a few of your friends who may need my help. And I'm super excited to have Jannine back. Jannine Krause is a naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and host of the Health Fix podcast, which I've been a guest on. She's on a mission to help women slow down aging by changing the way they access healthcare. Welcome back, Jannine. How are you today?
Thanks for having me back on. I'm doing all right.
I'm super excited to talk about one of my favorite topics. I was actually thinking back to my own health journey and when I hit rock bottom, and it was like peeling layers of the onion. I had insulin resistance. I had heavy metal toxicity. My gut was out of whack. My verge of Crohn's disease, hair falling out, acne all over my face, literally just bloated and retaining water. And I'd eat something and it was just sitting there. And when I dug into it and finally got the help I needed, I realized everything stemmed back to two things. And that was insulin resistance and toxicity. And detox is such a buzzword, right? We hear about detox this, detox that. And most people think, oh, just go on a juice cleanse or a celery juice cleanse and starve yourself. And then you're going to feel great. Well, you lose a lot of water weight and you feel hangry for about a week. And then you have slowed down your metabolism and you crave all that sugar again. You start back in and all the weight comes back with some friends and you don't know what you just did. And was there any purpose to it? And did it do any good? So what I wanted to do today is get into the importance of detoxification, how to do it the right way. How does iodine fit into that equation? And just pick your brain on what you're seeing today. I mean, compared to even just 4 years ago of the importance of detox. And there's a whole new level of need for it. So let's get into starting with just what is detoxification and why do we need to do it?
Sure. So really, it's allowing your body to work better is really what detox is. And this is why one of the things that I always cringe, because like you're saying, we'll do the juice cleanse, we'll do the trendy things. And, right before it, we'll eat, we'll be like, oh, it's my last day of eating chips, or it's my last day of this. And so there's like this, gorge yourself on all the junk. Then you starve your body, put it into a stress mode. And then, after it's over, you go right back to where you were, back with the pizzas and the wines and all the things. And so you want, unfortunately, we want to be thinking about how can we have our bodies do this on a daily basis with the liver, having your lymphatic system working, your kidneys working well. And so really detox is letting your body do what it needs to do naturally. Your body knows how to detox. It can do it every single day. We just turned it into something somewhat trendy, let's put it that way, but also turned it into something that has to be this big elaborate event. And really, we can do this on a daily basis. And that's where iodine, of course, comes in too.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the organs you just mentioned, because what are the detox organs that are so involved I know it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, like, oh, gosh, I'm retaining a ton of water. Why would my body retain a ton of water if I need detox? The lymphatic system, people don't understand what that is. They've heard of the liver and the kidneys, which, you gotta love your liver, and people hear me say that all the time. And that is the master detoxification organ, but there's some of these other organs that are involved. So let's go through the different organs.
Yeah. So, obviously, one of the ones that we always think about is the liver. So that one, I think I'm going to leave alone, really, because I think folks get that there's cells in the liver that are going to help us to detox. And we have enzyme pathways within the liver that help at even more of a minute level. So if someone has had DNA testing, or another thing that's really popular is folks know if they are good methylators or not. So this MTHFR business, this is all just enzymes within the liver and your cells helping you to detox. But what we overlook when we think of detox is we don't think about, like you had mentioned, the lymphatic system. And sometimes we don't necessarily think about how the whole digestive system plays in, because we've learned that the colon needs to be detoxed, but we don't think about small intestine. We don't think about, pancreas. We don't even think about the gallbladder that's connected to the liver, and how those are playing out in there as well. Then, like the big one with the fluids that we mentioned, is the lymphatic system, but not only the lymphatic system, the kidneys. Because folks, if you haven't heard of the lymphatic system, it is literally like all these little vessels that are connected to your lymph nodes. Chances are you've heard of a lymph node, or you might have had them swollen, say, in your neck or something of that nature when you were sick. These guys are connected like blood vessels to your like veins and arteries right next to them. They follow them, and they're really extensive around your digestive system. But what they do is they filter the trash that comes from your cells, but also from your bloodstream. And then all of this gets transferred back and forth between your blood vessels, and it goes through the kidneys. And so if your kidneys are having trouble, which unfortunately I'm seeing this more and more, kidney function is declining when I look at metabolic panels on labs. Our kidneys, if they're not strong, we're going to have some issues in this department. So if you're not great at drinking water, you're not great at hydrating, or if you're overhydrating, we could have a whole nother issue here. So we really need to be thinking about detox and as a whole body system function, because your skin even has a lot of lymphatic connection there as well. And your skin being your largest organ of detox, this is probably even more overlooked than lymphatics and things of that nature, because I think folks just think about their skin as being protective. Maybe we should take care of it, get some vitamin D for it. But we do tend to forget how that all plays in as well. So skin, liver, gallbladder, all of your digestive system, your lymphatics, and then your kidneys are all played in there. And so the better they work, the better you will detox.
It's interesting as you're talking through this, and I mentioned insulin resistance and toxicity and how they are connected. The high levels of toxins in our environment are making insulin resistance worse by inhibiting the function of the liver. And the liver is responsible not only for detoxification, but also for protein and fat metabolism, thyroid function, just regular metabolism, processing fructose and glucose. So if the liver's backed up by the toxins, then insulin resistance will be worse. If insulin resistance is present, the liver function is compromised. It's a vicious cycle. But then you get from insulin resistance to diabetes. And what is one of the biggest risks of diabetes is kidney failure, right? And I've got a family member that's on dialysis. And what do they do during dialysis? They literally take the blood out, filter it for the kidneys, because the kidneys are kaput, and you would die without dialysis. People, you do not want to get to this stage in life. It is zero quality of life. So that is where the end game is, right? Where you actually are so insulin resistant, you've got yourself into type 2 diabetes, and the kidneys shut down, your detox organs shut down. Let alone, I don't even know what his liver looks like, right? You can only imagine what the liver looks like, because the insulin resistance at the level of the liver is type 2 diabetes. So I'm seeing over the last 4 years, and you just mentioned that you've seen a worsening of on the blood panels, insulin resistance has skyrocketed. And I believe it's not just because of sugar and whole grains and, sweet potatoes and fruit. That's not the problem. It is the processed foods. And 62% of the adult American diet is processed foods. People are not eating real food. And that is killing the liver, shooting up insulin resistance. And then you add in the spike protein and the toxins and the radiation that all increase toxicity and insulin resistance away from eating a morsel of chocolate. So radiation from our computers, from our cell phones. I've got my cell phone to my left. I'm on my computer now. I've got a 5G tower down the street. I've got, I don't have a smart meter on my house. I have the analog because I opted out. Just for those out there, you can opt out. You are going to be exposed. But that radiation, even if you're fasting, even if you haven't eaten anything, can raise your insulin resistance, raise your blood sugar. So you've got that. And then some of these toxins are creating this insulin resistance at the cellular level. So with that, can you talk a little bit more about the higher level of toxins that we are being exposed to that is creating this increased need for detoxification? It's not a trendy thing now. It's a mandate. It's not just something that you're going to do on January 1st to lose a few pounds. It's to actually increase your quality of life, get rid of your chronic disease, get rid of the lethargy, the brain fog, the insomnia, all of the other factors that are inhibiting the lower quality of life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's our environment, because I have people who, they're eating fairly healthy in their terms, and let's put it this way: there's some processed foods in the diet, but it's minimal, and they're exercising. But like you said, they live in an area that is high toxic load in the air. In particular, where I practice, Tacoma, we have planes in the air all the time above us going back and forth. We have military base, things of that nature. And so when someone's doing the best they can, sometimes I will even see this happen, and we see it in labs all the time. The triglyceride levels are going up. I'm seeing liver enzymes going up, things of that nature, and folks that wouldn't make sense for them unless we had them on a continuous detox kind of protocol where they're really just enhancing their body's natural mechanisms of detox. So instead of like you said, after January 1st detox, it is a daily thing you're supporting day in, day out.
Yeah. So the signs that you are seeing in someone, or what signs should people look for that they need a detox?
Yeah. So a couple different signs. You can see them in labs, and I'm going to speak to the folks that are traditionally healthy, eating as best as they can. And maybe they go out to eat a little bit. Maybe they have like a chips or crackers that they really like. They may be, in the organic or natural, section of, say, Whole Foods or Erewhon or one of these places. And we're thinking that, oh, they must be pretty good because they're coming from these places. Well, here's the thing. What I'm seeing is skin stuff. So a lot of people having rashes, a lot of people having unexplained bumps, lumps, even the acceleration of cherryangiomas, which are the little red spots you get on your skin. I'm seeing a lot more liver spots, as we used to call them, but now those are actinic keratosis. I'm seeing these things showing up on the skin. I'm seeing more histamine reactions. I'm seeing more insomnia, and insomnia that pairs with itching, waking up in the middle of the night and you're itching, you think, oh, I just have dry skin. Well, I think this is the body trying to get these things out. Now, in terms of I mean, bladder stuff, hypersensitive bladders we've got going on, which also could be another sign that we might not necessarily think about. Constipation, if you don't go regularly, obviously that is a clear sign that we need some help, especially with the liver and gallbladder. And, I could go on and on, migraines, headaches, low level blah, brain fog, etc. Um, but some of the stuff I'm seeing on labs, and it's your conventional doc might not be clued into this. So these are things where those of you who have just had, say, a metabolic panel, this is something that shows your kidney and liver function. I am seeing in young folks that eat fairly healthy, but do kind of go out a little bit to eat here and there, and sometimes rely on a little bit more of chips or crackers or, organic healthy snacks. Let's just put it that way. Air quotes, totally. Um, those kind of things are starting to build up, and I'm seeing it in terms of kidney filtration rates. So EGFR on your labs, this is your filtration rate. I'm seeing filtration rates going down. Now, folks could argue, oh, this is an energetic, we're in a fear state right now with everything. Yes, there is energetics involved, but I'm seeing it in folks who are 20, 25, 30, kidney function declining. This should not be happening at all. Now, not only that, I'm seeing liver function declining. So seeing things like alkaline phosphatase going up, which is an enzyme, AST, ALT, which are your liver enzymes going up. I'm seeing triglycerides go up, but not A1C, which is your hemoglobin. A1C, folks, that is, you'll see it's called hemoglobin A1C. It's blood sugar over time and how sticky, I call it how sticky your blood is technically, because hemoglobin sticks to things. And if we have glucoses sticking to your hemoglobins, we've got sticky blood. So the more sticky your blood is, the more chances are you are in need of a detox. And when I take people off of seed oils, when I have people stopping eating out and eating at home, or eating as clean as possible, no oils added to any of their foods when they go out, which at this point it's like just eat at home, right? But when I see folks change things up in that department, I see I see the kidney filtration goes up. I see the liver calms down. And so I can't help but think that, yeah, we've got some food issues happening, but also in terms of the environment, when I have people optimizing how they can get their liver functioning better, how they can work with the lymphatic system, lymphatic drainage, castor oil packs, even using devices to help with lymphatic drainage, I see these levels change. And so for some people, it's just the food. Other people, we have to go a little deeper. Red light saunas, so not red light saunas, but infrared saunas, those can be quite impressive as well. So that's kind of some of the things that I've seen. And, I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, and we've been seeing people that are on just strict carnivore and not changed anything, super regimen with their diet, their exercise, their protocols. Sara, out of the blue, my triglycerides and my liver enzymes are up. It doesn't make sense. And what I attribute it to are the three hidden factors: the toxins, the radiation, and the spike protein. And so we've got the heavy metals, the lead, mercury, and aluminum. And you mentioned the airplanes over your head. Well, I'm in Newport Beach and I've got the airplanes coming over my head. I've actually been living under the flight path as a child. Went away for college for 4 years, but came back, and I'm not in my childhood home, but I decided to live right underneath the same flight path, just a few miles away. So I've been living under that. I was loaded with lead, mercury, and aluminum when I had hit my rock bottom. I constantly am detoxing on a daily basis, gently through my protocols and through iodine's a big part of that. But those heavy metals are finding our ways in our bodies through the water, the air, and the food. They can cause neurological effects, gastrointestinal issues, cardiovascular effects, kidney damage, liver damage, respiratory issues, bone health issues, infertility, immune issues, cancer, and chronic health, of course. And then radiation, as we mentioned, this from the non-ionizing and ionizing radiation. So smartphones, the being in the jet stream, if you're flying, your x-rays, going to the dentist, all of that technology has exponentially increased over the last 3 years. And then to worsen the situation, guys, this is news. Fukushima, the nuclear power plant, began releasing treated radioactive water into the Pacific Ocean last Thursday. Okay, this is new. So that is what they're telling us. They were already probably doing something, right? So if it's even out there, and this is happening in Japan, China has already said they're freaking out. China doesn't want to eat Japan's seafood and anything from their waters. If China's saying that, guys, we better start listening, right? So this exponential increase in radiation is really a huge threat, and that water is going to be coming to us. Now, we'll touch on iodine for a second real quick. Most iodine supplements are coming from the Asias. So here you are taking a supplement that is known to put out the halogens and the radiation, right? But you're taking a supplement that's full of radioactivity and toxins. So you're feeding your body, all 100 trillion cells that need iodine to kick out radiation. You're feeding a radioactive iodine source from Japan or from the Asias. So you got to know where your iodine's coming from. You got to know where your kelp is coming from, your seaweed, where's your seafood coming from. All of these sources are iodine rich and full of nutrients. They're all ketogenic, they're all paleo, they're all healthy, but where is your sourcing coming from? So that is something really important to think about. And then the dietary toxins, the toxins in our food supply and our water have increased exponentially. Not only the GMOs and the glyphosate coming from our crops, but there are dioxins, highly toxic compounds produced by industrial processes. They're found in the conventionally raised animals. Okay, so beef and chicken, ketogenic, low carb, super healthy, right? Good protein sources. Well, these dioxins are stored in the fat tissues and accumulate in the food chain. And furthermore, the halogens, which include fluoride, bromide, and chlorine, are in the water and food supply. They're in our toothpaste, mouthwashes, right? And they're clogging the iodine receptor sites in the body in all 1 trillion cells in the body. So 96% of the United States is iodine deficient. So then what happens is that you've got all of these cells that are open, not filled with iodine. And then the halogens just go fit into these iodine receptor sites nice and neatly. And then that's where the disease happens. That's where, you get the cancers and the chronic issues, the suppressed immune system, gut issues, and so much more. Then we add in the processed foods, and most of your people, Jannine and mine, are off the processed foods, but it's easy to have a cheat day and eat them. And what people don't know is that just that one meal of a cheat day kills the gut and the nutrient absorptions and can cause leaky gut, so that when you get back on your clean diet, the nutrients aren't absorbed and it trips it up. And those seed oils that you were talking about, right, by just going out to dinner once a week and having the organic salad with the balsamic vinaigrette made with olive oil cut with canola oil, and you don't know it, that's causing inflammation through all the cells, and that inflammation lasts for over a year. Now, if you eat sugar that is cane sugar, organic cane sugar, or from fruit or whatever, that sugar's in and out of your body within a day. The sugars from the processed foods or the seed oils last in your body for over a year and cause that toxicity. So all of these things are compounding, and I feel like it's like, okay, so what's the tipping point? We're getting to the tipping point, and the liver and the kidneys and all the detox organs are saying, I've had enough. I can't do it anymore. And that's why it's so imperative to be detoxing on a daily basis. So what are you telling your people that find themselves in this position that they need to focus on?
So, first and foremost, we need to get the bowels moving daily, because if we can't get that moving, now if we try to push the liver or we try to push the lymphatic systems to detox, we're going to have even more trouble. So, first and foremost, it is the food. Like, we've got to get some good higher fiber foods in. I know a lot of people are into the carnivore, things of that nature. I'm a little bit more of what I call a flexitarian in that department. We figure out what your body likes and we figure out what works best with you. But I'm working with higher fiber foods in this case to help the bowels move. We're working on the microbiome. Maybe we're doing some fermented foods, things of that nature if we need to. And then the other big thing is getting hydration on point, but not just water. I'm using salt, Redmond sea salt, or I'm using Celtic sea salt, real salt in the system. I actually have even gone as far as using cream of tartar, which is potassium bitartrate, and adding it into some of the electrolyte formulas that I'm having people make. I'm not having them we're not buying electrolyte drinks. We're making our own, because the pre-made stuff, there's a lot of junk in those. Now, the other thing I'm having folks do is move, because unfortunately we're not sweating enough. And those who are having trouble sweating, we're getting into infrared saunas and sweating more. So this is part of the foundational support. I'm also using castor oil packs over the liver, intestines, gallbladder, and even the thyroid area, depending on someone's history. The next steps from there are then I'll implement in using herbs. Now, I am a fan of milk thistle, and a good sourced milk thistle. I will use that. I also use iodine. We use your iodine, the accelerated iodine, specifically because I've just seen too many reactions with some of the other ones in certain folks, and we go slow. Because I think, this is probably a great time to talk about this too, is that a lot of people will have said, oh, I've tried iodine and I had a reaction. Well, yeah, because it pushes your body to detox a little, and this is a thing. So I am using the iodine. I'm using milk thistle. I'm using even berberines, different herbs, things of that nature, depending on what someone's individual situation is. But I'm not. What you guys will notice is I'm not giving 4,000 supplements to detox the liver. I will use dandelion leaf and root as well, but I'm not getting super fancy with things, because our bodies are so far bogged down that we need some help. I also use topical glutathione and magnesium foot soaks, and also you'll notice a lot of topical stuff here. So that's kind of my main regimen for folks to get started to move things out. And yes, depending on someone's individual situation, I might have something else layered on this, but I'm finding that so many folks are just having a trouble with a lot of supplements on board to try to detox in the first place, because we can't do it. And I didn't mention broccoli sprouts and cabbage family vegetables as well. Beets, those are another big ones. Ginger, I will use that in quite often too. And if we have to go, not have to, but when I feel someone's ready, then I might use something like diindolylmethane or calcium D-glucarate as a supplement to help clear the body. But boy, I found so many people were having reactions with the supplements that it's like we've got to start at even more foundational level. And so this is something for those of you listening to think about. If you have tried different detox protocols and not felt great and it felt worse, yes, that means you're moving stuff and your body's not clearing it.
I want to go back on all these steps. So if I forget one, let me remind me, because there's so much in there. You got to poop. I love, that is number one, because if you are not getting the toxins out, they're reabsorbing. So then you've got double layer of the ones coming in on a daily basis and the ones that are already there just recycling. So you got to poop. And I try to tell people the goal is to have at least 2 to hopefully 3 bowel movements a day. Think about when you were a baby, you ate, you pooped, you ate, you pooped, you ate, you pooped. That's what the human body's meant to do. It's hard to get that body moving and stimulating without exercise, without walking. You can use a rebounder, a vibration plate. Those are all great ways to move the lymph and move the bowels. And you talked about salt. I, of course, love my accelerated ancient salt. Jannine, I'll have to send you some to try. It is full of 62 minerals. It is radiation free. And then, of course, it's enhanced with scalar frequencies. But there's something called salt flushes that people would do where they high dose on these types of complete salts. We're not talking about table salt that's stripped of all the other minerals, only has the sodium and full of microplastics. We're not talking about that salt, but full complete salts, salt flushes can actually stimulate the bowels to have bowel movements. Personally, I've never done it, but I've heard of people that do, 2 tablespoons of salt a day, and it will help them go to the bathroom. So a colon cleanse, and I've got a protocol on my website now that helps you get pooping. The accelerated detox powder helps as well. With the iodine, we're talking about, you mentioned that some people are afraid of taking iodine because they've had a reaction in the past. Well, typically what we found is that they're reacting to the other ingredient in the iodine or the radioactivity or toxic source of the actual iodine. But then iodine, like you mentioned, is kicking out the toxins. So if you're full of the halogens, the heavy metals and the radiation, and all of a sudden the iodine is kicking them out and it's mobilizing, yeah, you might get a rash, you might get a little brain fog or a headache. What we found is then following up that the accelerated, if you have some sort of reaction with the accelerated ancient salt, you are soaking up those toxins and it's helping mobilize them out of the body much quicker. What we have decided or have uncovered over the last 3 years, because of the increase in the spike protein, the halogens, the radiation, all of the heavy metals, is that you actually can use high levels of iodine because of halogen displacement. So going back to a chemistry class, displacement is a scientific principle where the elements in the same group, so think the column on the periodic table, go back to chemistry class, that have a lower atomic weight naturally displace elements in the same group with a higher atomic weight. So the reason is that each element of the group is related via its outer shell having the same number of electrons, and the identical outer shell allows different elements in the same group to take over the same receptor sites because of the same number of the electrons. That's the key to allowing them in, and that's why fluorine, chlorine, bromine, or fluoride, chloride, bromide all naturally displace the precious iodine. So if you have high amounts of iodine in the body, these things can't come in, and the iodine forcefully displaces the elements that we don't want in there. So that's where the iodine comes in, not just for the thyroid, because so many people, and I'm sure, Jannine, you've seen the rates of hypothyroidism increase exponentially. Would I be correct?
Absolutely. It's one of the things I didn't get to mention on the labs too is, I'm seeing T3 levels decreased, T3 uptake being decreased. And these are things that your docs are not testing. And then Hashimoto's is out of control. Like,
yeah,
so many people have it.
And just like you mentioned, most doctors they're not testing anything but TSH. And right. TSH is a pituitary hormone that is telling your thyroid what to do. It's not even a thyroid hormone. So, and I have some of my best friends gaining weight, don't know why, working out more than they've ever worked out, eating less than they've ever eaten, and they're gaining weight. And they say their doctor says their thyroid's fine because the TSH is in a normal range. Well, what's even a normal range? On the blood tests, normal range is the average of the average population, which is sick, right? It's not even healthy, an average of healthy people. So this is where we get really, confused as to what to do with the iodine. And, it's also, I just want to mention this because I have such a soft spot for children, is iodine is needed more importantly for pregnant women and for children, especially during puberty, because iodine induces apoptosis, which is the replication or the destruction of diseased and damaged cells, but also new cells, right? And so when you are a fetus and when you're in puberty, you have a lot of new cells growing, a lot of changes happening, and a lot of hormones being created. And iodine is necessary for hormonal balance and for that apoptosis. The accelerodine iodine also helps reverse the damage done to the DNA by the mRNA and the spike protein. So this is also something that's very important. And the accelerodine iodine is monoatomic, meaning it has one molecule of iodine. It's absorbed immediately, has 100% bioavailability for all 100 trillion cells in the body. Any other iodine supplement that's not monoatomic has to be broken apart by the body that has very little energy in the first place, because it probably has high hypothyroidism and can't get that iodine apart from the potassium or whatever else other molecule it's attached to, and then can't use it in the rest of the body. So those are just a couple things I wanted to touch on. So when you've taken someone through we're getting them pooping, we're cleaning up their diet, you've incorporated sweating, which I'm a huge fan of infrared sauna. I'm a huge fan of lymphatic drainage. I actually do a lymphatic drainage treatment. I try to go once a week, but I do my vibration machine or rebounding or walking my dog, running, but running's not even as good as walking or a vibration machine for the lymphatic drainage. But okay, then you have, what's the next step? If someone's done everything that you said and they're still on a plateau, they're still not where they want to be, then what do you address?
Typically, I'm going to do a couple different things. I'm going to obviously get some more heavy, binders, heavy metals, things of that nature. We're going to look at mold. We're going to go deeper. And oftentimes that may require some lab testing, because I want to know what I'm working with first here. And oftentimes there are low levels of infection. There are low levels of toxicity. I will tend to go towards referring out for higher level therapies like ozone IV therapy, or I will go to higher levels like plasmapheresis types of things as well. But my next level with folks would be using targeted supplements to bind and help remove. On then the deeper level, I will also look for nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, things of that nature, to work on just optimizing every level of cell function that we possibly can do at this point.
When you mentioned hormones, people don't realize that the hormones, it's all about the hormones, right? And what we're seeing with all this higher level of toxicity is then estrogen dominance. So can you talk a little bit how the estrogen dominance and toxicity is affecting the hormonal balance in men and women?
Sure. Yeah, most people have probably heard of hormone disruptors, and really the end result for most of us is estrogen dominance, having extra estrogens in the system, and in particular estrone. And so having high levels of estrone in the blood, now we've got all kinds of different symptoms that could be coming. And unfortunately what happens is we will sometimes as women tend to feel breast tenderness, we'll have brain fog, we'll have kind of, if you go back to thinking about all your PMS symptoms, will tend to have that. And the higher the estrogen goes, oftentimes the lower the progesterone goes. So now we'll start to possibly have sleep issues, possibly might even have hair loss, things of that nature that even could start to come in on this level. And really that, that's just women. Men unfortunately will end up with having more breast tissue, which No guy really wants the man boob situation going on, but that, kind of situation can happen. We'll also see, you know, metabolic stuff that happens with the elevated estrogens too, and weight gain, slowing down the system as a whole. Yeah, these are big issues that I'm seeing, and it's wild.
It is, and this is. I know, Jannine, you're on a time crunch, and we wanna respect your time. So, I I agree with everything you're saying as far as the importance of all that is going on with the detoxification and the need for it. I think we lost you. Are you coming back? If there we go. Before you go, can you just tell people where they can find you? Please follow Jannine on social media. She has an amazing platform and social media content. I love her stuff. Can you please tell people where to find you?
Sure. You can find me at Dr. So Dr. Jannine, Jannine Krause, Krause at Instagram. You can also find me at docjkrausend.com. That's my website. And then, of course, my podcast, The Health Fix Podcast. Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate you having me on today. And yes, the time crunch. Life.
Life, yes, thank you. And so I want to just continue with everybody on just the other facts on what iodine does for detoxification and why it's so important in the body. Thank you, Jannine. I appreciate it. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Okay, so iodine, as we mentioned, helps reverse hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism. And what we've seen is that there's been a huge increase in hypothyroidism. What are the symptoms? Your hair's falling out, your brain fog, you have no energy, you just don't feel like you used to feel. Well, iodine helps synthesize the thyroid hormones, helps prevent hypothyroidism, and feeds the thyroid the T4 or the 4 and the 3 in T4 and T3. T4 and T3 stand for tyrosine and 4 and 3 molecules of iodine. And I mentioned iodine supports apoptosis. Apoptosis is that programmed cell death of unhealthy cells that occur to protect against cancer and facilitate anti-aging. And this is relevant in preventing disease and aging in particular. Iodine activates hormone receptors and helps prevent certain forms of disease. So that's where we were talking about the hormones. It helps prevent fibrocystic breast disease. It helps decrease insulin need in diabetics. It can actually show that it will bring a type 2 diabetics blood sugar down, and especially if you combine it with the accelerated ancient salt. Iodines help support protein synthesis. So if you're deficient in iodine, protein synthesis isn't happening. The thyroid hormone has two effects. It increased protein synthesis and increased oxygen consumption. So it's very important, and a lot of people are having issues with protein metabolism and fat metabolism in the liver, and that's from the spike protein is affecting that ACE2 receptor in the liver, and that's why we got to love our liver, you guys. You got to do your liver flushes a couple times a year. Well, the iodine is important for protein synthesis. Iodine also helps destroy and devitalize foreign pathogens, mold, fungus, parasites, bacteria, viruses. Iodine reduces inflammation. It helps eliminate those toxic halogens like bromide, chlorine, and fluoride, like I mentioned, and those are impacting our health more than ever. Iodine hydrates you. Did you know just by taking iodine, it actually creates water in the body? It neutralizes hydroxyl ions and hydrates the cells. Jannine mentioned the importance of hydration. It helps to eliminate oxidative stress because it neutralizes these hydroxyl ions, one of the most potent free radicals. In other words, it has a very particular antioxidant effect, and this can also help create H2O. Iodine makes us smarter. Who doesn't want to be smarter? Literally, I have people all the time saying, It's really weird, Sarah. My brain fog's going away. Well, that's because of the iodine. The iodine is decalcifying the fluoride from the brain. So it helps to it makes us smarter. And it helps prevent heart disease, protects us from the EMFs. When you combine the acceleradine iodine with the Nuke No More, which is known to help zero out all the radiation in your body that we're being bombarded with. Remember that radiation is causing insulin resistance and toxicity to increase, right? We need to do everything we can to minimize the EMFs and the effect on our body. We need to put the patches on our phones and our computer devices, get rid of the smart meters, but we also need to kick out the radiation from the inside. And you do that with the combination of the acceleradine and the Nuke No More, and then follow it with the accelerated ancient salt. And that salt is going to help hydrate your cells, get that intracellular hydration going, not the extracellular hydration, which is the that causes the inflammation throughout the body. And the Nuke No More is helping kick out all of that radiation. Iodine helps support pregnancy. It supports that apoptosis, and it helps with wound healing. Also, Jannine mentioned castor oil packs over the liver or the thyroid. Well, what I do is I take the accelerated scalar castor oil combined with the iodine. I make a medium brown paste. I put it over my thyroid, put a castor oil pack over it or over my liver, especially during my liver flushes. I'll even do a mask on my face of castor oil and iodine to help bring out the toxins and kill the bacteria and anything that's growing, and help with the detoxification of my skin. And it helps clear up the skin, and it's very antibacterial. Both the castor oil and the iodine are antibacterial, and they help with the skin and complexion. So what else can you do to detox and get your things moving? As far as the colon cleanse that Jannine talked about, if you are not getting results with some of the tips that she's mentioning, you can incorporate the Laxicomfort or the OxyClear that help stimulate bowel movements. I also recommend the accelerated cellular detox powder that's going to soak up all the toxins that you're taking in on a daily basis. And then what happens is you are taking that burden off the liver and kidneys by soaking up those toxins with the detox powder, and it is taken through your colon very gently. But what it's doing for your colon is it's reducing inflammation, helping alleviate Crohn's disease and colitis, and helping with the bowel movements. It soaks up the toxins. It helps balance the doshas, as we talk about in Ayurvedic medicine, and will help with constipation and diarrhea, regardless of which side you're on. It is going to help balance those same things. So it's a great way to help with the colon, and it's part of my new colon cleanse. You can also use, like I mentioned, the accelerated ancient salt, not just for a salt flush or for balancing out the acceleradine and Nuke No More regimen, but you can use that on your food and for bowel stimulation. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. I hope getting Jannine's take on iodine and detoxification and the importance of it. More than ever, we are salmon swimming upstream in this world of ours. And even my own family is saying, why do we have to do all of this just to stay healthy? And I say it's because we are in a new world, unfortunately. So thanks for joining us today. If I can help you with your health issues, you can contact me directly through the website, sarabantahealth.com. I'm happy to put together a protocol for you. Join my free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. I teach you with tips and tools on a daily basis to enhance your health, and you will be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, and across over 100 channels under Accelerated Health TV and radio show. And my goal, like I mentioned, is to reach everyone on earth with eyes to see and ears to hear my message of healing. Please help me with that goal. Share this podcast with a few of your friends who may need my help. And join us every week on Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. You can find all of my supplements and podcasts on my website, SaraBantaHealth.com. Use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us here, and have a great week.